Within the complexity and scale of the digital era, the only way for organizations to thrive is to continually experiment, get feedback from the real world, and adjust course based on that feedback. This iterative process relies entirely on our ability to observe how our customers, business, and technology are impacted as we make changes. This is the bigger picture view of observability, and to succeed, we need to track more than just technical metrics. One of the challenges we face is that the data we need to make our observations is often spread across our organization, sitting in different tools, owned by different stakeholders, only accessible to certain groups of people. Here's an example from the real world. In a previous role, I was working with a team who owned a customer-facing web application. This app allowed customers to obtain quotes for motor and home insurance, and then to go ahead and purchase an insurance policy if they wanted to. The team who built and owned the app wanted to understand how reliable their services were. My job was to utilize the monitoring and insight that they and other teams already had in place to provide a benchmark of the reliability of their app. Starting with the technical insight, I had to go to 3 different tools. For infrastructure monitoring, I used a Prometheus instance owned by a different team who ran the Kubernetes platform that the app sat on. For service level reliability, I had to request access to several indexes in Splunk, which was managed by an enterprise logging team, so that I could analyze the access logs. I had to make a request for this, which took several days to process. For client-side reliability, I used New Relic's browser monitoring to see what was happening in our customers' web browsers. I was lucky enough to have access to this already because of some work that I'd done in the past. Then when I wanted to find out about things which don't fit into the traditional monitoring world, I had to look further afield. For data on incidents, I had to run reports in ServiceNow, which I didn't know how to use, so I needed some hand-holding from a colleague to get that sorted. Even then, the reports weren't very visual or helpful. I ended up having to export the data to a text file and then analyze it myself in a data analysis tool called Tableau. To see the frequency and success rate of deployments, I had to go to the deployment tool. For example, Azure DevOps. I didn't get access to this in time, so I had to make assumptions based on the metrics I was getting out of Prometheus, which weren't very accurate, but it was the best that I could do. For customer-level insights, such as the drop-off rate on each step of the customer journey, I had to leverage a whole other set of tooling owned by yet another team in the BI data division. I've given the example of Google Analytics here. The data was all there, but it took me weeks to obtain access, to learn how to get the data I needed from each tool, and to pull it all together into a report. What I was trying to achieve was a big picture view of the reliability of a team and their services. And it was a very successful exercise. By providing the team visibility into what was really going on, we found lots of opportunities for improvement. But the exercise was time-consuming, involved a lot of manual effort, and required working with half a dozen or more different teams. So what can we do to make this easier? One common approach is to attempt to centralize all of this data into one giant repository, or data lake. The idea behind this is that everything is accessible from one place, and relationships can be drawn between different types of data. However, building a data lake is an enormous undertaking. It's complex, costly, time-consuming. You're building a business-critical solution that integrates with technology across your organization. Because of the diverse types of data involved, it's difficult finding a database technology that can house all of this data effectively and in a performant manner. Many organizations launch projects to stand up such observability data warehouses and fail. But the problem remains. How can we stitch together insight across many different tools and technologies? How can we get a big picture or single pane of glass view into the health of our organization, our technology, and our products? SquaredUp offers an approach which accepts the fact that your organization has data spread across different tools and locations, but still lets you bring it all together to see the full picture. SquaredUp pulls data via APIs in real time from wherever your data currently resides, on-premise or in the cloud, and then lets you visualize that data together as if it was stored in a single location. It achieves this by using a data mesh approach. SquaredUp stores metadata about the data you ingest so that you can see the relationships between things coming from different locations. It even gives you a unified query language to pull insight from anywhere using one consistent notation. For example, you might have a dashboard that shows you the availability of a payment service and notice that it's not meeting its SLO. By drilling into that, you can automatically see which server or container that service runs on, or log entries relating to that service which may help you diagnose the issue. In summary, organizations need to continually experiment to thrive in the digital era, and this depends on great observability. But the data and insight required is often spread across many different tools and teams, which makes it difficult to consolidate. We call this data toil, the unnecessary manual effort to pull together insight from disparate locations. Trying to centralize all this data into a data lake is costly, complicated, and becomes significant technical debt that you need to maintain. To remedy that, SquaredUp provides an alternative, the data mesh approach, which lets you keep the data where it already resides, but still stitch it together to see the full picture. So that's the lightning fast introduction to SquaredUp. If this sounds like something you'd like to explore further, you could sign up for a free account at squaredup.com to get started.